revenue streams. It's how your company gets income as the way in. Keep in mind, revenue is not profit. Revenue minus your expenses equals your profit. But that being said, what are the different ways to get revenue? There's actually a lot more than you would normally think. There's 7 primary types of ways to create revenue streams, but other ways exist as far as the human imagination can carry them. Lots of people have their own hustle in the process. So you'll see a whole series of things of 7 ways, but you can also probably visualize a couple other side ways on top of that to get them. Probably the most commonly used one is an asset sell. Hey, I got this to sell. Okay, I'll buy it. How much? This amount. Well, maybe I want this amount. So it's really an asset sell. You're selling this versus this. Amazon, the world's #1 bookstore. And by the way, we're not just talking a little bookstore, we're talking about 60% of all books that exist on planet Earth are sold on Amazon. Incredible. So all the different Amazon books and everything else, it's a matter of, okay, here's the price, I'm willing to pay it, click, it's yours, it'll be there tomorrow. So you have an asset sale. This is pretty normal, including if you walk into a retail store, it's exactly the same thing. Usage fees is a revenue stream. They make money by how often somebody uses the service. Cell phones are a really good example of this when it comes down to it. You get a contract, and the contract could be a set fee for the whole time period, or how often you use it, or the number of minutes that you purchase. So that being said, usage fees is a big thing that grew up really in the United States in the last really 10 years, from almost nothing to something in the process, as well as this one, subscription fees. Number 3, it really is a revenue stream. Netflix, gym membership, Spotify. Pretty much you get a contract, you have an agreement with it. Long as you're part of that, boom, you sit there, you get the service, but you got to pay a monthly fee. They're really great for business owners if you're the one that owns the process over there. But a lot of times people think, well, it's only this, it's only this, it's only this. However, as a consumer, be really careful. A lot of these, because you ignore them because they tend to be low-cost figures, can amount to an awful lot of money. As a business, a lot of times, for instance, I know a franchise, they sit down and say, well, they have our entry studio thing, you charge this. They have our set machine, you charge this. Then it's a monthly fee, it's no big deal. Actually, it is a big deal. So that being said, pay attention to this. This can sit there and soak up your profit margin on a huge basis. Be careful. A lot of times you're much better off purchasing the item than going through subscription fees, because somebody's got a constant stream of money coming in. Great for them, not so great for you. Renting, leasing, lending. It's built upon temporary use of an asset. You haul trucks. You don't own the truck, but you get to drive it for X amount of hours for this amount of money. That's pretty standard. You also now have Airbnb, you have Zipcar, a lot of different things where you're renting something for a period of time. It's a really good way to make money. The only thing is you have to worry about liability aspects of it when it comes down to it, and several other aspects. So it's got its own set of cautions, just like all these do. So you want to really look at the idea of working off the benefit of a recurring income. While you don't always have someone using your product, when they do, you're able to make enough money to cover all your expenses. That's the idea. Licensing to third parties. This is not common for the average consumer, but that being said, a lot of times the owner of the content, you get to keep the copyright, but somebody else goes out and sells your product and they pay you a licensing fee. When you walk into Walmart and you sit down and you look at the mugs of Groot from Marvel Comics television series. Well, the Groot isn't really manufactured by Marvel. They have a third-party license and they get a fee for creating the character, and the other company gets to sell the product and keep the profit from it after they pay the fee. You find a lot of this in photography, music, and the process as you go through. A brokerage fee. We're used to this all the time in the world of real estate. Pretty much it's a matchmaking opportunity. The realtor lists the house over here. The realtor never owns the house. The realtor is only signing up to sit down and represent the person as an agent. They get a fee out of it. We call that a brokerage fee. And there's a the way they divide it up pretty much is a 5% commission that in the current market that we have, and you split it up 4 different ways, which is a more detailed discussion by the time you're all done. But in essence, it's an intermediary, that aspect of they're an agent trying to sell a product that is not owned by them to somebody else. Advertising fees, it's another revenue stream where you make money by taking fees for showcasing a product, a service, even the brand on your online property. There's a huge booming market on this when it comes down to it, with a lot of consultants on social media collecting a fee to go about doing that. They get a fee for their service, but then on top of that, you may have to pay a fee for, let's say, Facebook, Instagram, whatever medium that you're in. So you have advertising fees, and you have 2 people with their hand up, the consultant as well as the host for the example of it. There's more revenue streams, but these are probably the 7 most fundamental ones that covers a huge gamut, possibly up to 90% of all the different ways that people sit down and earn money or revenue when it comes down to it. Keep these in mind. It's actually a big deal. Asset sale, usage fees, subscription fees is huge beyond belief. And that's where a lot of venture capitalists are putting their money into companies that produce subscription fees. If you're interested in creating a product, think about the aspect of creating an app that you get, because they're easy to find people to sit down and put money up because they want to have that stream of revenue on a regular basis. Renting, leasing, lending, licensing to third parties where you sit down and you create something and somebody else sells it for you, brokerage fees, in other words, an agent in the middle, and also advertising fees. These are the 7 fundamental bases for revenue streams in today's marketplace. Take care.